Hello and welcome to our Nacho Television News from Ankara in Turkey. I'll bring to you our news headlines in a bit. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said on Wednesday that Turkey has already bought Russian S-400 missile defense systems. He stressed by saying that it is a done deal. I quote Mr. Erdogan where he said that I'm not saying Turkey will not buy S-400 defense systems. He has already bought them. We have closed the deal. Erdogan told his ruling Justice and Development AK Party's group meeting in the capital Ankara. He noted that Ankara and Moscow signed the deal with a pledge for a reasonable price and future joint production. A Kosovo ceremony marked the 20th anniversary of NATO's entry into Kosovo in the capital, Pristina. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton, the former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, and former U.S. Army General Wesley Clark, who commanded the NATO forces during the bombing of then Yugoslavia in 1999, were in the attendance of the event at Skenderberg Square, addressing the ceremony. Clinton voiced pride for standing by Kosovar people against the ethnic cleansing. 79-day-long NATO airstrikes won the war. However, Kosovar people gained peace, said Clinton. Also speaking at the ceremony, Albright said the war in Kosovo was to deal with barbaric murderers and tyranny against democracy by the alliance and was strong and determined. Turkey's minister who visited Jerusalem mentioned that Turkey will never make any compromise on the Jerusalem issue. Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. Zehra Zumruk Selçuk, Turkey's Family, Labor and Social Services Minister, said in a meeting with her Palestinian counterpart Nasri Abu Jaish as part of the International Labour Organization conference in Geneva, Switzerland. Selçuk added that Turkey make the whole world accept the fact. She also said that Turkey is ready to provide technical aid to Palestine in any area. Abu Jaish, for his part, appreciated the firm stance of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on the Palestinian cause. Afghan bikers completed a more than 2,500 miles historic trek to emphasize brotherly ties between Turkey and Afghanistan. I quote Mr. Zakaria, our relations are not just based on economics, said Afghan Consul General in Istanbul, Zakaria Barakzai, after the arrival of the bikers. Added that our strong culture ties come from the past. 10 cyclists covered over 2,000 miles as part of the Turkish-Afghan Friendship Cycling Tour, which began in Afghanistan's Herat province and ended at the World Peace Park in the Beşiktaş district of Istanbul. The tour also aimed to revive the 2,000-year-old Rapik-Razuri corridor, an international route linking Turkey and Afghanistan via Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. At least 600 million people in Africa lack access to electricity, according to an International Energy Agency statement on Wednesday. Mr. Fatih says in sub-Saharan Africa, 3 out of 5 people don't have access to electricity. Executive Director Fatih Bilor said at the opening of the first ministerial forum of the African Union Commission and the International Energy Agency in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. Addressing the gathering that included officials, experts, and representatives from various international organizations, he called for innovation and investment to rectify the lack of energy in the region, which he said was unacceptable in economic and moral terms. Bilor also said, and he called the attention to the need to ensure clean cooking, which he said caused respiratory diseases and increased deaths from tuberculosis and AIDS. Through Africa, he said, though Africa is rich in the wide range of energy resources, including solar, bio-natural gas, oil or coal, and uranium, the continent is far energy self-sufficiency. Turkish lender Halkbank added a new branch to its network in Serbia, where it already has a widespread presence. At the opening of the branch in eastern city of Smederevo, Geneva, General Manager of Halkbank in Serbia, Kenan Bozturk, said Smederevo has a special significance as it is one of the capitals of all Serbia with rich history. I quote him by saying, "I am very happy that we are opening the 34th branch in Serbia." Turkish ambassador to Serbia, Tanjur Birkic, said that Halkbank is one of the main reasons for excellent economic relations between Serbia and Turkey. The Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar and his Azerbaijani counterpart Zakir Hasanov held a meeting on the sidelines of the 7th Azerbaijani-Georgia-Turkey trilateral defense ministers meeting, and they also visited the Ali of Matriz in Gabara, Azerbaijan. Nearly 1,400 people have died in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dr. Jeremy Falar, the director of the Wellcome Trust, said that the epidemic was the worst since that of 2013 to 2016 and has showed no sign of stopping. 2 people have also died in the neighboring Uganda, the first cases of Ebola reported in the country. A 5-year-old boy infected with the virus died on Tuesday, and a woman died on Wednesday, the Ugandan Health Ministry said. In a statement, Dr. Falari said the spread was tragic but unfortunately not surprising. He warned that more cases were expected and a full national and international response would be needed to protect lives. Authorities have shut some government offices in Hong Kong's financial district after the worst violence the city has ever seen in decades. This morning, the crowds had dispersed around government headquarters, where police and protesters had pitched battles on Wednesday. The protesters are angry about plans to allow extradition to mainland China. Despite the widespread opposition, the government has not backed down. However, Hong Kong's Legislative Council delayed a second reading of the controversial extradition bill, and it is unclear when it will take place. A former Prime Minister of Algeria, Ahmed Ouyahia, has appeared in the country's Supreme Court as a series of investigations into high-level corruption continues. Mr. Ahmed's led government under ex-president Abdulaziz Bouteflika, who was forced to resign in April after weeks of street protests. Corruption investigators have been targeting senior officials and businessmen who were close to Mr. Bouteflika during his 20 years in power. A Hollywood star, John Clooney, has urged the U.S. Treasury Department to take action to block illicit money flows coming out of Sudan in a joint opt-in political written with human rights activist John Pendergast. Sudan is in the midst of a political crisis after security forces opened fire on pro-democracy protesters in the capital Khartoum last week. The U.S. actor wants the treasurer to issue an anti-money laundering advisory to thousands of banks around the world to be on the lookout for illicit funds coming out of Sudan. He hopes that this would make it easier for foreign diplomats to negotiate with the military council. John Clooney is a co-founder of an initiative founded to track dirty money. He has been interested in Sudan since 2003, when he spoke out about violence in Darfur. The U.S. will deploy 1,000 more troops to Poland, President Donald Trump said during a press conference with Polish President Andrzej Duda. President Trump said the force would be taken from America's 52,000-strong contingent in Germany and include drones and other military hardware. He felt short, however, of committing to a permanent US base in the country. It comes after offers from Warsaw to spend $2 billion on building one. The base may be called Fort Trump, President Duda quipped during his visit to the White House on Wednesday. National Television News from Ankara in Turkey. I am Sauda Mganga. Thanks for watching.